Mulholland is by far the most fun you'll have in second gear behind a Ford Ranger. All right, you guys, welcome back. Today, I'm giving you a bonus video. I've got the 2024 Lotus Emira first edition for a few days here in sunny Los Angeles. So I figured, in addition to the full review, which if you haven't already, you can go watch it, the link is below, downtown LA. It's the afternoon, so we'll see what traffic is like. Just kidding, it's gonna be terrible, but we're gonna try and go drive Mulholland Drive. Basically just to show you guys what the Emira is like to live with. It's a nice small car. It replaces, of course, the Elise, Exige, and Evora, but mostly the Evora. Same 3.5 liter supercharged V6 under the hood, 400 horsepower, 310 pound-feet of torque. Let's just go for a drive. We're fairly close to the beginning of Mulholland Drive, so we'll see what it's like. I've been living with it for a couple of days. There is a little trunk back here. Actually, it's not bad. I will give it that. You can fit some luggage in here, probably a few backpacks. They do get a little bit warm. Definitely not as hot as the MC20. I just drove that recently, and those got, I mean, things were thoroughly melted. No frunk because, of course, aero and whatnot. 20-inch wheels on this one, forged, of course. God, just a beautiful looking car. I love this thing. And then, of course, once we step on the inside, you do have a little bit of storage back there. There's a little bit of a net. You could fit 3 or 4 backpacks. But let's go for a drive and see how the Emira does. First things first, we've got cup holders compared to the Evora. The Evora 400 had 1 cup holder, but here we've got 2. Awesome. Place for our phone. We've got semi-exposed gear linkage down there, a little more space down here. It's kind of all around you. You've got little pockets of storage, door cards, etc. But the first thing I'm gonna do is move my water bottle down here because I can't really shift properly with drinks in here. Start her up. Lift this here. Oh, wow. It'll start without your foot on the clutch, which is something that a lot of, well, all JDM cars will do. They don't have neutral safety switches. But here, I just found out that this doesn't either, which is fine with me. All right, we'll see what we can do here. So, yeah, tons of torque. Peak torque's at 3,500 RPM. On a small road like this, you know, this is kind of why I came up here, because in the full review, I was driving on a much larger road, and when you're in third gear at 3,000, 3,500, even 4,000, it doesn't have like the punch you in your gut torque unless you're above 4,500. But on a smaller road like this, you feel that LSD in the back a little bit more. Michelin Pilot Sport Cup 2s, 295s in the back, which is just absolutely ridiculous. But there is a stark contrast between what you get in the canyons, of course, here in LA, and then what you have on the freeways and up here when you're just kind of light to light in traffic. Like, the clutch is heavy. It's got really good bite, really good feel, but it's heavy, right? The brakes are a little bit twitchy for the street at low speeds. But that's when everything else around you, the infotainment and stuff like that, really comes into its own, because it is so much more usable than previous Lotus models. Now, the last Lotus I drove was an Exige S1, like, you know, fully caged and just a ridiculous car. So not the greatest comparison. I have not driven an Evora, but this is like, I mean, if you were to cover up the badge and tell me this was built by the same manufacturer, it would be tough for me to believe you. It's so much quieter than that car was. Hopefully you can hear that supercharger whine. So good. was over the line for sure. Wow. It just wants to jump out of its skin up here. So much different on a tight road. Now this one I'm driving does have the sport suspension, so like, it's stiff. I don't know if you guys can see on camera. It's bouncing a little bit around. The spring rates are different here than on the touring, if you go with the touring suspension, so. Lower speeds, it gives you like a nice growl. V6s are not traditionally the best sounding engines, but when you throw a supercharger on it, then you get some of that whine. It adds something to the mix, you know? It's not just one ingredient, there's some spice. They've thrown some spices into it. And of course, speed bumps installed in Mulholland, no problem for the Emira. God, if you guys can't tell, I am stoked to be back in LA. It's been such a long time. I haven't been down here since pre-2020. Now, do I think it's too stiff to daily drive? It really depends on your area. If you're closer to some smoother roads and you're not, you know, on the 405 freeway here in LA, we're driving incredibly bumpy roads. Yeah, you could easily daily drive this. It's when you're cruising on the freeway, put it in sixth. I've been getting about 19 miles per gallon. Wow, that is incredible. Burbank over there. You've got leather, so you know you can rest your arm on the side. You've got a center console, Alcantara wheel. This is option here, Alcantara headliner. So everything's comfortable. You know, the surrounding area is nice to be in, and you know, you might have a chance at a second date in this car. It's not like an Exige or an Elise that just punishes you every chance it can get, which is not something Lotus is kind of known for. It's known for racing pedigree, and a lot of the key components of that still come through, like the shifter's really notchy, click, click. If you're driving really hard, yeah, you have a tendency to miss the 3-2 downshift, or at least I have. But the steering's great, still hydraulic power steering here. Like if I was on this same road, just doing my average LA Canyon commute, I guess this really isn't a canyon in Hollywood, but if I was doing it in something like an MC20, Artura, something bigger with a ton more grip, you have to be going a lot faster to extract like any fun, aside from, hey, people are looking at me, or hey, it made a cool sound. Like you can get that, but generally you'll be in first gear, whereas the gearing here and the sound and the kind of the feel of the car is actually somewhat accessible. You can hear the vibrations of the engine back there, a couple clicks, stuff like that, but it's relatively quiet in here. Like, I mean, for Lotus, incredibly isolated from the world around, and quite a bit of headroom. It is a little bit shorter than 718 Cayman, but if I had a helmet on, that would be totally fine. I'm 5'9". If you're a little bit bigger, you might have an issue with headroom, potentially. And this one does have the 12-way adjustable heated seats. So it is sitting a little bit higher than I would have liked. Super quick to rev on the downshift too. Nice free revving engine. You forget it's a V6 so quickly, or at least I have. It is just, there's sounds coming from everywhere. This has got to be one of the best driving cars I've ever driven, like new cars. You know, it's just the combination, hydraulic power steering, size of the car, the look of the car. This thing is just drop dead gorgeous, stunning vehicle. And yes, a part of that is the MR2 owner inside of me. I owned two of those back in the day, but Similar lines here, and just a great size. Wow. There you go. Hollywood Hills. Shifting up, just to shift down again. Let me know what you guys think about this steering wheel shape. You know, C8 Corvette got away with it, square steering wheel. This isn't even square. This is like, it's round here, and then it's got a different radius here slightly, and then it's flat at the bottom, and then kind of flat, but not quite at the top. So it's fine as long as you're a 9 and 3, and you know, it's got a quick enough steering rack where you're not really hand over hand almost ever. So it's not the worst. It's not my favorite though. Mulholland is by far the most fun you'll have in second gear behind a Ford Ranger. No competition. People are crazy. This guy's just fully taking the racing line on some of these corners. I mean, I've seen some pretty horrific videos in the LA canyons, like on the proper driving roads, but even up here, this guy just does not care. All right, guys, there it is. Lotus Emira. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Again, if you haven't already, check out the full review. Link is down in the description. Of course, this is the final gas-powered Lotus that they're ever gonna build, at least for production. So this is it. Apparently these are not selling the best, but when you're going up against a Porsche Cayman, yeah, tough competition. So either way you slice it, it's a difficult sell, but I think this is a future classic. I think these will be worth a lot 10, 20 years from now. But let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Subscribe if you haven't already. We'll see you next time.